Thanks for tuning in to the hottest talk radio show around, providing an open discussion for some of the most important social issues and trending topics today. From personal growth or spirituality to sex and relationships, no subject is ever taboo. So prepare to be empowered, enlightened, and entertained during another episode of the award-winning Let's Face It with Will Strayhorn and Friends. Real people, real topics, real talk.
Thanks for tuning in. This is Will Strayhorn. Thanks for tuning in for another night of Let's Face It with Will Strayhorn and Friends. It is Wednesday, March the 28th, 2018. A beautiful day here in Hampton Roads. It was in the mid-70s, I believe. Everybody's naked already. I'm in the studio with three fully clothed, well, almost three fully clothed beautiful women. I have my girl, Miss Shanika Bell. Hey, Shanika. Hey, Rhea Goff. And then we have our resident sound engineer, Miss Jada Carson.
How you doing?
Jada Carson. Yeah, she got a shoulders. She almost there. You wearing shorts tomorrow?
No.
You're not. How's everybody weekend? Hump day.
Spring break next week.
For who? Oh, that's right. My spring break was last week. So, I did nothing there. I was supposed to have a lot of problems. Really? That's the best thing. Yeah, so you can take things spontaneously at any time. That's good. What's going on in your life, Shanika? Miss Shanika Bell of On Point with Shanika Bell. The award-winning.
Actually, that's what's going on with Shanika. I'm actually just trying to figure out my first month because this is my first month with On Point. So I'm actually just trying to figure out my first month with it and just.
How's it going?
It's difficult.
Really?
Yes, it is difficult just to line people up, make sure they stay committed, and
do it in advance.
Right, and that's what I'm figuring out. So this month was kind of my trial month, which it went okay, and then some things I had to fill in myself because even though I didn't want the focus to be on me, in some instances it was just some of my talents.
Yeah.
So I just kind of had to fill in areas I didn't really anticipate filling in, but it's okay. It worked itself out.
Tell what is the whole premise of On Point with Shanika Bell?
So the point of On Point with Shanika Bell is basically to highlight individuals in the community who are making a difference.
Okay.
So whether that's with awareness, whether that's with your story, your own personal story, whether that's reinventing yourself like I feel like I'm doing, it's just bringing those people to the forefront and we're highlighting them basically because in some instances people are in your community that you don't necessarily know that are in your community who are advocating for different things. So it's just to highlight those people in the community who are trying to make a difference, who are making a difference, who are trying to reinvent themselves. And I just wanted to find more people like me. So
Now, is this something that you've always wanted to do, that you've kind of procrastinated?
I don't think it was something that I always wanted to do. I think I had a lot of some things that I wanted to do, and I narrowed it down to that one.
Okay.
So, and that one was the one that stood out to me the most for the mere fact that I was always, I think that from the day of having my daughter, I dedicated myself to giving to her, to being available to her. So when she left to go to college, I had nobody to give to anymore.
Right. So you had to find something to.
Which I was giving to her.
Right.
So then I had to basically find myself in other areas. So the other area is to find other people who love to give back like me.
Yeah. That first episode was good, and everything that Chef Fields taught, I've implemented in my cooking in the house, and it was good. It was really good.
Okay.
I like when I walk away and feel like I've learned something, that it was really vested time that was really good. So
but that's good because
good.
I always say that if one person got something from it, then that was good. Because my show last week, I sewed. I took a tank top and I made a skirt.
Oh, you did that one. Okay. Did you get any feedback?
Yes, people watched it. My little cousin watched it because she wants to make doll clothes.
Yeah.
So she learned how to, just very basic.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, so.
That's good.
And I was shocked because my cousin was just like, she wants to learn how to sew.
Yeah.
And so she learned just off of me, just a very basic tank top, cut it, sewed it, and she learns from it.
The last thing is, what about the timing? Because I know you wanted it to be an hour, but their first show was like 2 hours.
2 hours, yes. So when I'm actually doing it, I try to, if I'm having to bring the content myself, it's usually an hour.
Okay.
And actually, the gentleman that I had before, who
The fitness guy?
No, the gentleman that I had before, Antoine Gibson, he actually works for New York Life.
Okay.
So we were talking about why it's important for people to have life insurance policies. So that show was about an hour, like about 50 minutes to an hour. So I'm actually trying to keep it within that, but sometimes.
Yeah. When it's good, you don't mind.
No,
Yeah.
not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Well,
So,
good.
yeah.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you, thank
And Miss Redgolf, okay, I have a question because I know you have a new Facebook
Yes.
group.
Yes.
And I was looking at your logo. So, what is your title? I saw something say inner, or what is?
It's a Ray of Hope.
A Ray of Hope.
So my first name is Raya. It's just a play on my name. When
Okay.
I was in kindergarten, nobody knew how to say my name. And so this is a true story. My PE teacher said, tell people it's a Ray of Hope. Ray of Hope or Ray of Sunshine. So it's Raya.
Oh, okay.
And so that's
Okay.
how I've always introduced myself to people that way so people can get what my name is.
Okay.
It's quick.
Okay.
And so I started a Facebook page because, as you know, I was working with people individually, and I'm tapped. I am tapped, but I enjoy helping people.
Right.
So I want to do it on a larger scale. And so I created a Facebook, A Ray of Hope, where we're doing life together.
Okay.
And so the idea or the premise is that we will broker relationships and we will strategically make it through life and encourage one another as we go on.
Okay.
So I just want the interaction. I want people to join in and have conversation. Let's do life because everybody's going through the same thing. I promise you.
Now, are you going to stop the one-on-ones, or are you going to reduce
Right now,
it?
I'm going
Don't
to.
stop it.
Okay.
Don't stop it. Just incorporate. This is new. It'll actually help because some people will probably feel better in a group.
Correct.
And then some people may need that one-on-one interaction.
My therapist says
Uh-huh.
to keep doing one-on-one.
Really?
Yeah, my therapist.
Yeah,
I just saw her. I just saw her Tuesday, and she was like, "Why do you continue to say you don't want to do this when you know this?
When
is
you know
what
it's your path. That's your,
right?
Yeah.
People are tired.
Yeah.
People,
Oh, honey, you
okay,
gotta tell me.
do we have to go there? 'Cause
Yeah.
as you know,
I know.
So
me, I
I
know.
still want to give, but give on a larger scale. So we'll see what happens. Maybe we'll do some meetups and talk about life, workshops, and stuff like that. So I just want to still be able to work with people. I have some ideas in mind of my end game, and it's more global than individual. So we'll see what happens.
Okay, give people who don't know, what's your background?
I am a licensed clinical social worker, and I've been working in the human service field for about 15 years.
Okay.
And I've worked in the capacity in the court system as a family therapist, individual therapist. I did life coaching or still doing life coaching. And right now I'm currently a full-time school social worker.
Okay.
So I've been around the block for a while.
Yeah. And everything's working together. I like
Everything is
that.
working together.
Jada, how are things coming for you, my sweetheart?
Oh, it's going good. It's going really good.
Going good? Okay, how's school coming?
School's going good.
I haven't
Friends
seen
are
any
going
grades
good.
yet, so.
They're good.
They're good?
Good.
Okay. That's my little sis. So.
I love it.
Okay. Let's talk about a few things before our first guest calls in. Miss Tiffany Haddish. She's on the radar. She's doing a whole bunch. She's doing a whole bunch. New on the scene. She's the hype girl. She's the it girl right now. But homegirl, she's causing a few disturbances. And one thing, she can't keep her mouth shut.
Cannot.
She can't keep her mouth shut. Now one thing she was saying that somebody bit.
Beyonce.
We didn't even hear from Beyonce that somebody had bit her. And then I know Beyonce wrote in one of her lyrics a song with her and Jay-Z. I should have pulled it. But she was saying something about to hang with me, you would have to sign
A non-disclosure.
Yeah, a non-disclosure.
Yes.
Yeah, because I'm like, okay, that's for you, girlfriend.
Right. And the thing about it is Tiffany acknowledged that it was about her, but yet here we are again a few weeks later
Yeah.
talking about somebody that bit Beyonce. First of all, who was getting that close? Because her bodyguard, Juliet.
Yeah.
Juliet or Julius is out of control.
Yeah,
And he ain't but 2 steps away from her. So how did that person get that close
Yeah.
to bite her in the face? I
Yeah.
don't know what happened.
So do you doubt that it happened?
I mean, I don't know. Like, it could have happened, but how did this happen? Like, what does this look like?
It would have had to have been somebody who's in. If it happened, it would allegedly. That's our new word,
Right.
allegedly. It would have to have been somebody who Julius was familiar with.
Correct.
And was fine with her being that close.
I want to say it was Blue Ivy or Sir or Carter. Was it Sir Carter and what is the other child name? Sir Carter? Is
Sir and Rumi.
I want to say it was Rumi, Sir, or Blue Ivy that bit her in the face. That's who it was.
You think
the
so?
The children. It's okay. It's the children.
What you say?
It's not even about, at this point, to me, it's not even about
Who
Beyonce.
uh-huh.
No, I just think that Tiffany, she did very well with the movie, and just appreciate the acknowledgments that you're getting from the movie, and accept that for what it is, and stop being all over the place, because what's going to end up happening is even with her saying she's not going to boycott as Monique
did,
suggested. But she's not going to have to boycott if you're getting blackballed.
Yeah.
So my thing is, and just like it came about that people didn't want to work with Monique, I feel like that's the road that Tiffany is leading herself down.
And most A-listers are private.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Except
they don't
the
want to be
Kardashians,
surrounded by,
yeah.
Well, that's their business.
Right.
To, have
Right.
everybody in their business. But this is what Tiffany has said. She said, she signed her own deal with Netflix. And she said, my business is run different than her business. I don't live her life. I don't have that husband of hers. I'm looking at how Netflix has opened up so many opportunities for black females and comedy. She said, when my people are dying, that's when you're going to catch me protesting. I'm not going to protest because somebody got offered not the amount of money that they wanted to get offered. If you don't like what they're offering you, just no longer do business with them. She said, if I protest Netflix, what about all the black shows that are out there? What about all the other actors that are working on there? All the Indians, the Hispanics, the Asians. Even my show, The Carmichael Show, airs on there right now. It's not on NBC because I think it was originally on there, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So, she said she really disagrees with Monique. So do you think that was disrespectful for her to bring that husband in, that comment?
Well, I
she know Monique gonna clap back at that.
Right. I mean, and my thing is,
Daddy.
if you have a problem with me, with what I'm saying, leave the family out of it, because they have nothing to do with what I am advocating for or whatever. That has nothing to do with any of that. And with Tiffany's background, she's been in different. Growing up, obviously, so she's advocating for a different cause to me. So I can understand her point and where she's coming from, and even with Monique, they're just different. They're just advocating for different causes to me. So but no, if I said something to you, then let that be me and you, not our families, and our families have nothing to do with it. My husband has nothing to do with it. And yes, I would clap back.
You would clap back?
Monique, because my husband has absolutely nothing to do with
right.
it. What do you mean? That husband, whatever. Like
that husband of hers.
Right. Like, what's that got to do with anything?
Yeah.
But I did see something about somebody saying that maybe, was it her that said that he needs to stop managing Monique?
I think a couple of people have said
that. Right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. What about you, Rhea? What do you think?
Monique she's been around the game for a while.
Yeah.
And this journey that she's on, I don't know. I feel as though like she's having a breakdown. It's a slow meltdown.
Really?
I do think so. We're
yeah.
Because between the Oprah to Tyler Perry to now Netflix,
and she sees
right. I feel like it's a slow breakdown. Like I feel like over time, and I think Tiffany, she had to respond. You don't have to, I feel as though she's riding the wave of it's a conflict. Let me jump on this to keep my name relevant. I think that Girls Trip was a great movie, but I think she's kind of get typecast as the person that plays the hype man, the wild friend.
That's why they're marketing her because of Girls Trip. That's how everybody knows her. So that's why she's getting the role she's getting, and she's not turning them down because of the money that she's getting. That's how I feel about it.
But she can't. She doesn't have a range.
Exactly.
She would never be, but other than the hype girl, because like the Carmichael, she's the sloppy ex-wife that.
It's always the ratchet character.
Right. Well, is that the same as what's my girl from? What is this movie? Alimony. What is?
I know. No,
talking about Taraji.
Yeah, Taraji. Isn't that the same as Taraji?
No, I think I think she's still on.
Taraji's not always the sassy.
No, because
beat him up girl.
Well, but it's still
fighting somebody for her man.
But I still think it's in a classy.
You
she's
think
still
so?
Classy with it in a sense to me.
Like
I feel like even with the Groupon commercial.
How they're
she's still like,
Right.
Look, I think you can compare them, but it's like to a certain extent, not really.
How is it different?
Because Tiffany has a little more edge than Taraji P. to me. And then I think
not as refined. She's not as
Taraji P. is a little more seasoned too, so she knows how to turn it off when she needs to turn it off and whatnot. It's all about experience when you compare
Taraji probably uses it to her advantage.
Exactly.
Right.
It's a part of her persona.
Right. But she's good too.
Because even
Tiffany
with
doesn't know how to turn it
Empire,
off and on.
Tiffany doesn't know how to turn it on off.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because even with Empire, even though she's like the bad girl, but she still
comes off as
it's still
she
a
knows
character.
Right. Like, and I still want to say classy. Like,
don't say that.
Don't use classy. Yeah. We got to come up with a better word. By the end of the night, we'll come up with another word. But classy is not. But classy, let me tell you, is not the word that we're looking for. We're going to move on.
Yes. What do you want to talk about, sweetie?
Oh, goodness. So, billionaire Mark Cuban.
Yes.
He had an interview, and he talked about one of the biggest or greatest lies that people are told is to follow your passion. And he says that he's passionate about a lot of things, such as baseball. He wanted to be a professional baseball player, but then he realized that you have to throw a 70-mile-per-hour fastball. And then he said at one point in time he wanted to be a basketball player, but then he had to be a certain height and he wasn't high enough. He said instead of following your passion, you should pay attention to the things that you devote time to and double down your investment on that. So I think for me, my passion is the things that I spend time on. I don't see them as a difference. I think as like my hobby may be basketball, but that's not my passion. And so I was really confused about this article. And I was like, because he's looking at passion as a hobby. When I look at passion, it's something that I devote so much time to that I might get lost. I don't realize 3 hours might have passed. I'm down for this cause. I'm really into helping people. So that's my passion. But I love shopping.
Is he referencing it as far as to be successful?
He's referencing in order to be successful, don't follow your passion because your passion might not make money.
Exactly, yeah.
Right. But he said be mindful of things you spend time doing, and that be the thing that you should invest in and make money. But what you spend the most time in, is it not your passion?
I spend a lot of time making flyers and graphics, but I wouldn't say that was my passion.
Okay.
No, but you're making flyers and graphics for your passion.
Not necessarily. Sometimes. I just have a creative, I wouldn't say it's just creative, artistic. I like to draw too, but I wouldn't say that's my passion.
Okay, but what are you making
It's just fun to me.
So there's just random.
So it's a hobby.
It's a hobby.
It's a hobby.
Right, but I'm saying you're not making them for any particular thing. You're just sitting down.
Well, how do you define passion?
And I think that's the key word.
Right, because, some people would describe something, a passion is something, I guess if you were doing it and you didn't, let me slow down. If you did it and you don't necessarily have to get paid for it, like you would do it for free, is maybe. But
let me help you. Let me read this
I'm
I'm kind of in between. I agree with him to a certain extent, but then I found this passage that my silent mentor Oprah had wrote about passion, and she said, "Be passionate in what you do." She said, "Ignoring your passion is like dying a slow death. Your life is speaking to you every day, all the time, and your job is to listen up and find the clues. Passion whispers to you through your feelings, beckoning you towards your highest good. Pay attention to what makes you feel energized, connected, stimulated, what gives you your juice. Do what you love, give it back in the form of a service, and you will do more than succeed. You will thrive."
Okay, right.
Flyers, that's doing what I'm doing now. I think sharing information and engaging with other people about things that are passionate, can't use the word, but that I find important, or they help other people, encourage other people, empower other people. I'm passionate about that. Hobby, creating flyers, that's a hobby. I get to use a talent of mine. I wouldn't, that's what
But see, that's a talent and that's your passion. But
right.
You're spending, do you say that you spend a lot of time
when I'm home, I'm on my computer.
Making flyers?
Making flyers, research, doing stuff for this show.
Correct, which goes back to your passion. Like you were saying.
The show is my passion.
Right,
correct.
Right. But you have to.
Go ahead.
No, go, because we're probably going to say something.
No,
go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying, you have to. But but you're still working towards your passion.
Okay.
You have
Right.
there's things that you have to do that's gonna feed your passion.
Right.
So it's you're doing a mundane task, but it's
Okay.
really helping you for the greater good.
Right. Right.
So you have to advertise yourself, or people are not going to tune into your show. So you have to make these flyers in order for your show to be successful. Because nobody listens, then we're going to be off the air.
Right.
So it's helping fuel your passion.
Helping fuel, but I wouldn't say the flyers is my passion.
No, the
Right,
flyers
but
are
the
not
end-
your passion.
But that's
Doing
fueling
the
your end
flyer.
goal.
Right.
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 Okay.
Right.
So it's still
So how does that tie back to Mark Cuban?
he's saying make notes.
It doesn't
of
apply to you.
But he's saying pay attention to the things that you spend the most time doing,
Right.
And that will probably be your thing to make money off of.
Right.
So if you spend most time doing radio and stuff like that, pay attention to that because that's how it's be your moneymaker.
I like what Oprah said when she said, "Do what you love
Correct.
and give it back in the form of a service."
Right.
And that's when I read. That was the same thing that Steve Harvey had said in his book. Once you find your gift or your talent, figure out how you can offer it to people.
Correct.
Right.
And I think one of my biggest gifts is teaching. And that's how I came up with the makeup classes, when I came up with the look the part speech. And even this, I like to share information. Those are different ways you can offer it as a service. So I would say teaching is a passion of mine. Sharing information is a passion of mine.
But now he's saying, now that you have figured out your passion, how are you going to turn it into it making money for you?
Doing the makeup classes, any way that I can teach. I can't hear myself. Any way that I can teach. Doing the makeup classes,
Right.
doing my workshops, offering them to different groups. Any way that I can think of a way to offer me teaching or sharing information.
So, because I'm here of late, and I guess because I'm doing a lot of research as well, I just see a lot of, every time I'm on Facebook and I'm looking at different things, I see people who are suggesting to do these webinars and to do all these things. And I want to tap into that,
Do
but
it. What's stopping you? Other than fear, what's stopping you?
And let's move right along into talking about Will Smith.
I don't know, what does that mean? What does that mean?
Let me see.
Everything as he's
Let me go ahead and we have 5 more minutes, but let me go ahead and introduce Jackie Phillips. Jackie Phillips, Reset Your Life. It's never too late to start again. Jackie Phillips is an American TV radio host. She's a celebrity makeup artist. She's an executive producer, creator, public speaker. She's a published author and entrepreneur. Her mission in life is to inspire others to aspire to be their best selves. We sound so much alike. She encourages others to break the shackles off their lives in order to walk in truth and embrace their unique divine purpose. She's here to talk to us about her book, Reset, and hear how it's never too late to start. So please help me welcome to the show, Miss Jackie Phillips. How are you?
Hi, how are you? Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be on your show.
Thank
It's
you
an
so
honor.
much. Thank you so much. So let's go ahead and start things out with your own journey. Where have you been, and what are you doing now?
Well, I mean, the journey is long, but I've been on top of the world, and then my world started collapsing, and I was like everyone else. It looked great on the outside, and it was really crumbling on the inside. I was traveling the world at the time, my own businesses, and slowly but surely, everything was just kind of falling down, and I had gotten myself on a hamster wheel that I couldn't get off of, and that affected the 6 elements that I talk about in my book, all 6, which are relationships, emotions, appearance, finance, faith, fitness, and health. And everything, as one thing got out of whack, the other things got out of whack, and before I knew it, I was just a complete mess. It was years in the making. I ended up having to bankrupt my business.
Oh, wow.
And I basically gave up everything to get everything. So where I am now is I've, have a new business. I'm still working in television entertainment. I've written, recently the 10th book came out. I have a children's series. I have Reset, and I just co-authored a book called Women Across Borders. So between the books and the coloring books, that equaled 10. I have 2, I have another children's book coming out in June, so that equaled 10. And I have a radio show called Reset, and I'm happy and I'm free.
You're doing a lot.
It's you know, and I host, and you know, I'm still a celebrity makeup artist, of course.
Yes.
That's always, beauty is always my first thing. But no, but it's been a long journey, and I think people don't realize that anything worth changing it does take a lot of hard work, effort, and accountability. But if you stick to it and you really dedicate yourself to bettering your life, it will happen. And God will send you the people you need. It's just sometimes I think He wants to see like how serious we are before He starts, you know, really kicking in. So, but these are lessons, you know, that I wanted to share with others, especially like, you know, I have young cousins who I'm so close with, and I would never want to see them go through the things I went through. And I certainly felt all the red flags. I saw all the red flags. The only thing that didn't happen is they just didn't hit me over the head until it was too late. And I think we all have that inner GPS system, but we don't listen to it, and that's what gets you in trouble, you know, and you get like way out of whack of what you were really supposed to be doing.
Right.
And I know, hi, this is Rhea. Sorry about that.
Hi, Rhea.
Hey. I know I could say a lot of women who have invested a lot of money and time into, you know, education and their career. And then they look up and say, I don't want to do this anymore. But how do they hit that reset button? How do they say, today's the day I want to make a change and want something different in their lives?
Well, I think first, you always have to decide what that change is going to be. You know, you hear a lot of experts say, you know, find something you love to do. What do you love to do as a hobby? Because then it'll never feel like a job. You know, and I agree with that because, you know, like writing for me does not feel like a job, even though it's very hard and it can get like stressful because, you know, you want to produce something great. I love doing it. I love doing it. I love talking to people. So that never feels like a job for me. And my advice or in my, you know, experience, you know, don't quit your job to start this new reset and hit the button. You need to make a plan. You need to try things, see if you like them, see if you hate them. Because sometimes in our head, we can create this like movie of like, oh,
how
I did this, my life was great. Oh, I'm gonna, or if maybe you want to be an actor, I'm gonna be a movie star. Everybody always told me I should act. And then like you don't even.
I'm familiar.
Book the play at, you know, the local theater because like maybe you shouldn't act or sing. You know what I mean? So you need to try stuff and try it on. And, you know, but make a plan. You have to make a plan. And I think that when we make a plan and we're accountable to the plan and take the action steps, then we know how to hit that button. That you can't just like hit the button and jump off the bridge because you might fall on your head. You know?
And have no support there for you.
Yeah. So I think it's good to, like, when you're going through a reset or when you want to reset, you need to kind of start thinking about things, like write things down. Like I still do vision boards. I'm doing a new one now because they change all the time. And my friends, and like I have really close friends and we do it every Monday night. We get on a call and it's a prayer call and it's a dream call. And we all kind of celebrate our victories. And it's amazing how quickly things do happen when you create that space for it, but also when you're looking at it every day and you're like sewing into it. It's pretty incredible, actually. And then you have to change it because now you know, thing has happened, so it's really not on your dream board anymore because you know, there's room for something else, kind of thing.
That's good.
But does that make sense, Rhea? Like, you know, I think you have to try on things before you can totally decide what you're going to do, which, you know, what that reset is.
Yeah, that makes 100%.
If it's a career, you know, career is like serious business.
Correct.
I created a show, which, you know, we're still, you know, it's back. It has breath again. And a long time ago, it was part of my reset. It was one of the things I did once I found some freedom and was able to sew into entrepreneurial projects again. And that show's called Stars Behind the Stars. And it's exactly what you're talking about, because it's like there's all these careers out there that people do not know exist. And, you know, I'm from a really small town in Pennsylvania. So when I started touring with Judy Collins, you know, long time ago, I met all these people, and I never knew that these careers even existed. You know, a set designer, you know, a caterer for when we were on tour, like someone to sew clothes, you know, behind the scenes. Like all these amazing jobs that people would absolutely love because they're creative endeavors, but I never knew they existed. So I feel like that's part of it. Like you need to search for things. Like maybe you bake for your children's, you know, Girl Scouts or their, you know, the PTA meetings or something like that. And because you love baking, but it doesn't mean you're going to move to Paris and leave your family and go to pastry school. You know, you can still do things you love and turn it into a business slowly. It just might be a little different than, you know, the movie in your head.
Exactly.
Okay. Hello, Jackie. I am Shanika. And my question is, in the preface to Reset, you write that it's important to dig deep into yourself and look to God for that person that you desire to be. God made us all unique. Use your uniqueness as a starting point to go after your dreams. Can you elaborate on that just a little?
Yes. So, hi, how are you, by the way?
I'm wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a great question. So the reason I wrote that is because we all have our own unique divine gifts. And my gifts are different than your gifts. My gifts are different than everybody's gifts on the call. And we need to share them with the world like they're ours. And when we do align with our gifts, we really can soar. And then the world opens up to us. But when we don't share our gifts, when we don't use our gifts, when we don't respect our gifts, then our soul's always kind of searching and hungry for something. And that's because we're not fulfilling our unique divine purpose. And it certainly doesn't mean you can't do other things. But, you know, some of us just, you know, I have a girlfriend. She has the most beautiful voice you ever heard in your life. She was an opera singer. And then she got her heart broken, and she never sang again. And she professionally sang. And I always encourage her, and it's years now. I mean, she's, you know, a bit older than me, and I always say, you should sing. You should sing. It would open your heart again. And, I mean, that's just like an example, but we all have something that just comes so easily to us that's just in us innately. You know, I never went to school for makeup. My grandfather was a painter. I can make any color under the sun. I don't know how I can do it. I mean, I know it's a gift of God. But I can mix 10 things together and get where I'm going without knowing how to do that. I just know how to do it instinctively. So it's kind of that thing, right? You know, there's always something you're really good at, and that's in you. It's in your DNA. It's in your spirit. It's in your soul. That's a unique divine gift.
Okay.
So we should use it. Yeah.
So your gifts, like you said, the things that come easily to you, and for you, I guess in becoming a makeup artist, it was knowing that instinctively you know how to create these designs and mix colors without any type of instruction. So you're saying that your gifts really, I guess, is tied towards knowing what your purpose is, because that's something really.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, I think it's something that lays inside of you, too, and I think we discover our gifts at all different times in our lives.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I think it's also we're more open to having our purpose, like you're talking about, Will, and sharing it when we are more conduits to spirit and we don't have those blocks.
Right.
You know, when your life's like a hot mess like mine was, I had no room for anything because I was just on a hamster wheel. But once I, you know, broke up with that old life and lost that spiritual weight, all this stuff started flowing through me. Like, I never in a million years thought I would write any books, ever. Especially a children's series. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. You know, I don't have children. I'm not a little boy. I write about 2 little boys. You know, I've written songs now for it.
Wow.
I have these coloring books. I mean, it just, like, went crazy. And I have other stuff happening, too, with it. But my point is, that never happened when I was in those situations. But when I removed the situations and had space in my spirit, other gifts came through me that I never even knew I had. And I'm older now, you know, I'm not like 19 in college, like practicing different stuff.
Right.
So you just never know what gifts lie inside of you, and you never know what God has stored inside of you to help others.
Are you still learning? I'm sorry. Are you still learning things about yourself?
Always, every day.
Okay.
Absolutely every day.
So I'm not late. Okay. I thought
Yeah.
I was developing.
I keep
I was
telling
like,
you
I'm
that.
just behind.
So do you think at the point of your reset that your passions changed?
Yes, I think they do change sometimes. And I think it's okay, because I think as we grow, we become passionate for different things because maybe we've already fulfilled those old passions.
Is it fair to say that your view of life changed and what's important to you?
Yes, for sure. For sure. Because when you have to give up everything to get everything, and what I mean by that is, you know, I moved out of my apartment, I rented it out. I moved in the first year, that first year reset, I moved 6 times, and I know that sounds insane, but I moved in and out of my apartment because I had tenants, and then I moved to PA, Pennsylvania as well. I was like kind of living with, you know, my family too. Like I was like, it was crazy town. And so when you have to do all that, it's like things totally change, because the things that you put such high value on, you realize don't matter. You know, sometimes it's materialistic, but it's also like people. You know, there were a lot of people in my life that I thought were like really like, you know, close to me, and I realized they really weren't. So my view changed of what was important, who was important, and I had to learn, which I think I'm still learning, we all are, that I'm important.
Exactly.
You know, I'm important too. You know, we're not, I mean, I wasn't raised to be like that. I have an Italian mother, and I have an Irish dad. So my Irish grandmother and my Italian mother are givers. You know, they just gave. So when you're a girl, you learn to, and we owned a restaurant too, which didn't help the cause. So I didn't grow up in that kind of a world where like you worry about yourself too. You know, you're worried about everybody else first. So that was a huge lesson I had to learn too, was more self-care, which I think I'm still learning that.
So it's
for
we
sure.
are. Go ahead.
So it's fair to say that it's important to love yourself, your true authentic
Totally.
self.
Absolutely, and I talk about that in Reset, and I use the acronym FLY. And FLY stands for, in order to really reset and stay reset, you have to first love yourself. And then I say, then you can bloom, which is believe love of ourselves matters. Because once we learn to love ourselves, then we believe and realize how much it matters.
Hi, Jackie. This is Jada. So why do you think it's so important for you to love yourself?
I think it's... Hi, Jada. How are you, by the
Hello,
way?
how are you doing?
I'm good. I think it's... And that's a great question, too. It's important to love yourself because you're like number one, right? I mean, this sounds very dramatic, and I'm not trying to be harsh, but it's like you're born alone, you die alone. Certainly there's people around and there's people around, but you're in this skin every single day.
Every day.
You need to learn to love being in the skin you're in, love being in your own headspace, learn how to deal with your own headspace, learn how to love yourself through the thick and thin of life, and learn how, when you love yourself, you also know how to keep a positive attitude and to maneuver in all the nuances in life. I mean, there's so many ups and downs all the time. And if you don't love yourself, every little thing's going to bother you. But the more you love yourself, I feel like you get grounded and you're able to just really have a more like happy, peaceful life. Have you ever met someone and, you know, they go out every night? Like they can't sit still. Like they can't just like sit and watch a movie. I could literally not leave my house for 3 days and not talk to someone. And it's not because I'm like in love with myself. It's just I've learned to just be relaxed, enjoy my own company. I am kind of a homebody too, so I'm a bad example.
So you're an introvert? Is it fair to say you're an introvert?
I am. And it's funny because I speak in public. I do all this public stuff, but I'm actually a pretty shy person. I would never go to a party by myself or, I would if I had to, but I'd rather not, That's my kitty Bello, if you hear him.
Okay.
He always makes an appearance on the show.
So you also speak, so transparency and being authentic is really big now in culture. So why is it important, you say, to share not only your gifts and your talents, but also your scars to help others?
Because if you share, you're able to help someone. But if you're holding back, then you're not going to help anyone. If I only told you half the story, I certainly would never sell someone down the river. Some things just are personal, and you have to respect that.
Right.
But when you're going to help someone, you can't be like nothing ever happens to me and my life's perfect. Like, how are you going to ever help anyone like that? We're all here to touch each other's lives and help each other. And you just never know that one thing you say to someone, how it can change their life. And I witnessed it when I was writing the book. I was on set. I was in New York City. It was like 6 in the morning. We were doing this show in Rockefeller Center. And I was sharing with my friend about the book a little bit. And he started crying to me. And he was like, I'm going through a breakup. I really need help. I need to end this relationship. It's so abusive. And so I started telling him what I'd been through. And then I sent him one chapter. And he said it, changed his life. But he said our conversation changed him. Because, when you're talking to someone, especially, if in a work environment, we all kind of have it. We look like we have it together.
Right.
So just because maybe you are dressed nice and, your hair is done or whatever, people just assume, there's nothing wrong in your life. But when you share and you're like, oh, my gosh, I was in a relationship like that, or, oh, my gosh, I had a guy do that to me, or whatever, then people are like, oh, it's not just me. Because sometimes I think when we're going through something awful, we think we're the only ones in the world that's been through it.
Or that something's wrong with us because we're going through it.
Totally. Yeah. Or something's wrong with us. So when you share and you release it, and you release that pain that you've been through, you actually heal someone because it makes them feel like they're not alone. So I think it's important to be honest.
So what would you say is the single most important lesson that you've learned?
The single most important lesson I have learned is definitely that it's never too late and to not give up. And the power of my thoughts, because I'm a really, really deep thinker, and it gets me in a lot of trouble. And I've had to learn how to manage that. So I would say don't give up is the most important thing. Those others were very relevant. And also, the best thing that happened to me is my relationship with God got closer. That was the best thing that happened to me out of all this. All that other stuff is stuff that's lively stuff. But I really have learned, and I'm still working on it, of course. I think you do for your whole life, is to have a real relationship with God. Because I always was very spiritual and faithful, and I always went to church, but I didn't have a real relationship until I had to have one, So it changed me. It totally changed me.
Okay. So you have a radio show that's every Thursday night at 9 that's based on your book. Can you just tell us a little bit of information about that?
Sure. So my radio show is called Reset, and it's on Power 91.1 WTYJ, and it's a station out of Atlanta, but it goes all over. There's an online station too. And we interview, it's myself and my co-host, who's a dear friend of mine. His name's Sifu Carl Romaine. And his name is Sifu because he's a Kung Fu world champion. So they call him, so you have the title Sifu.
Okay.
Because people always ask, they're like, Sifu, how do you say it? And he's like, no, it's Sifu. And we interview different experts, you know, celebrities, authors, you know, just all kinds of different people, pastors. I had an amazing pastor yesterday. And it's just different people that share their reset stories, tips, tools that have helped them. And it's, you know, people really share on our show. People cry sometimes. It's been a really wonderful experience. And the only reason that show happened is because I said yes to life. Because my book wasn't even out yet when they asked me to do it. I asked Sifu to join the show later, a few months after, you know, I got on air. And that was like my thing in my reset. Even if I don't know how to do it, because people, you know, people love to put us down and squash our dreams and tell us we're crazy and why would we try something like this and blah, 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 blah. I was like, you know what? I'm saying yes to life. I'll pray about it, meditate about it. If it feels right, I'm just doing it, and I'll figure it out. Because I always think, like, God doesn't give you something that he's not going to give you the tools to handle. Yeah. You
have a lot of head nods over here.
Yeah. Well, and I was like, I'll just do it. And when the lovely man who owns the station, his name's Taiwan PV, he was like, do you want to do it? And I was like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, I can write and I can talk, but I don't know how to do anything else. You're going to have to help me. And so we just did it. And now it's like a year and change. You know, December I got on air. So, you know, do the math. It's like a year and like 4 months or something. So,
Good for you.
Here we go.
Exciting.
Love it.
Very exciting.
Beyond the book and your talk show, what's next for Jackie Phillips?
Oh, boy. So I'm going to start doing beauty segments on TV. I used to do them a lot, and I'm going to be doing them soon somewhere else. I can't really say just yet. And I have, like I said, the new book, Hugs Are Happy, is coming out. And it's a book, a coloring book, and a song. And that's going to be debuting in June for International Children's Month. So I'm super excited to be a part of that and that platform. And I'm hoping to do maybe some more products and things like that. But I am going to New Orleans for the month of May with a woman, beautiful friend that I work with, Lorraine Pascal, for some different shows. So I'll be in New Orleans for a month. And it'll be hot.
Yeah, exactly.
Very.
But I like the heat, so I'm not worried about that. But yeah, that's what's next. And, you know, I do prison ministry, so this whole year I'll be going around the country visiting different prisons. And I just did one in Florida, in Ocala, a couple weeks ago, and there's some more that we've set up. We just didn't get dates. You know, we don't have, like, the exact dates yet. But yeah, I love doing prison ministry. It's really, it's just an unbelievable experience.
So I'm trying to figure out, because we were having, prior to you calling in, we were having a conversation about passion. And I was sharing with them something that Oprah had said, and also something that Steve Harvey had said about finding out what your gift is and then figuring out ways to offer that as a service. So I'm listening to everything that you're doing, from evidently you're passionate about the makeup, you're writing, you're doing your radio show, now you're also doing the prison ministry. And what is that underlying passion? Is it helping people? What is that underlying passion that's fueling all of that?
Yes.
Because it seems so different. There has to be that common thread that's going through all of them.
You know, they're different, but they're the same because they're all media related, obviously. Like, that was one of the places I've been put in the world, right, forever. But they're all about sharing love and kindness. That's my passion, sharing love and kindness to others. So the kids' books, that's the theme of it, sharing love and kindness. Reset is sharing love and kindness, but learning to be loving and kind to yourself.
Awesome.
And then you can share it with others, too. And then all the other stuff is sharing love and kindness. You know, as a makeup artist, you know, it's a very intimate job. I work in media, so I'm working on really stressful sets, stressful days, long days. You know, I've been on set sometimes 16 hours. You know, people think like you're laying around in a lounge chair eating grapes all day, and it can be brutal.
Yeah.
And it's so different than what people think.
Mm-hmm.
And but anyway, you really do have to be balanced to keep someone else's energy up too. Yeah. Because if you're not good yourself, you're gonna spin that. You're gonna throw that energy into your talent.
Right.
And you're the last person a lot of times, especially when you're doing music, when I work at music and someone's going to sing on stage or something, I'm a lot of times the last person they see before they walk out on that stage.
Mm-hmm.
I'm walking out there with them.
Right.
So if I'm a hot mess and angry or depressed or just miserable, then what's that going to do for them and their performance? I need to be balanced and happy and excited and cheering them on,
Exactly.
So there's a whole thing, but love and kindness will to answer your question.
Okay. Mm-hmm. How can people follow you?
So my handles for social media are all Jackie J. Phillips. So it's JACQUI J. Phillips, PHILLIPS. And then my website is JackiePhillips.tv. JACQUI Phillips.tv, and my books are available on Barnes & Noble and on Amazon or off my website. So awesome. I'm easy to find.
Awesome. Well, Jackie, thank you so much. You've taught us so much. I know you taught me a lot. And everyone's jotting down notes, so thank you so much for coming on the show. And we would love to have you back on in the future.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I was so excited. I shared it on my social media, and it's an honor. And it was nice to meet everybody. So thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Okay, you too. Take care.
Bye-bye.
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 What was the life quote? Didn't you write it down? Something about
the fly one or the bloom?
No, the one.
I missed the bloom.
She's something about
believe. I got believe.
Yeah, that's all I got too.
It's something like believe, love, of.
We should have asked her.
We should have. I'll send her an email.
Yeah, because that's all we have. I have believe, and then I was like,
yeah. Well, we're going to take a quick break and talk about a few more things, and then we have another guest calling in. So you're listening to Let's Face It. We'll be right back.
You've been listening to Let's Face It with Will Strayhorn and Friends. We'll be right back.
It's pretty amazing when you consider that 7 years ago, we didn't have the treatments we have now. We cure 80% of children with cancer. Go back 50 years, we were curing 20 to 30%. This is the miracle story of modern medicine. We understand what makes this cancer tick. And of course, without donors from around the world, this just couldn't happen. There's one thing we're focused on, and that's beating this thing.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
The odds of becoming a signed artist and having 4 #1 albums. 1 in 100 million. The odds of going on to win 7 Grammy Awards. 1 in 1.4 million. The odds of this performer having a child diagnosed with autism. 1 in 68. I'm Toni Braxton, and I encourage you to learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Autism Speaks. It's time to listen. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her.
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge.
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend.
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Okay, men. This is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. I know you won't. Because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
You're now listening to Let's Face It with Will Strayhorn and friends. Now back to the show.
Welcome back. We're in the studio with Miss Shanika Bell.
Yes.
Rhea Goff.
Hey.
Miss Jada Carson. So that was good. Say yes to life.
I love that.
Yes.
That was my takeaway.
Now let's talk about this. How being single can kill you faster than obesity. This was a study that was done. They said loneliness is deadlier than obesity and should be considered a public health risk. Experts have warned. It says those with bad social connections have a 50% increased risk of early death compared to those with good social connections. So I think I'm in that bad social connections part. It says that they discovered that social isolation raised a person's risk of death by half compared to obesity, which raised the risk of death by just 30%.
Okay, but I mean...
But you know what? Listen to this part. It says extreme examples show infants in custodial care who lack human contact fail to thrive and often die. And indeed, social isolation or solitary confinement has been used as a form of punishment, like in jail.
But what does that have to do with being single?
Because when you're single, you're lonely, aren't you?
No, you're not.
But usually,
what does that mean?
And the thing, depending on, like, if you're morbidly obese to the point of you're not really moving and can't move, people don't usually visit you. I mean, you're there, and you don't have, other than that one or two people who are trying to help you survive.
You know what? I'm considered obese.
Well, I mean.
So it doesn't say morbidly.
But you're having social interaction with people, and you're still.
But this article, I just want to say something.
What?
The title of this article is
Single
very
people.
misleading, because the article is about loneliness, not about singleness. Because I can be single and not lonely.
You're special.
But no. I have lonely periods, and you might ask me this question tomorrow, and I might be on the floor about, oh my God, where's my man? But today I'm good. But that does not mean every single person is lonely.
But I think it's generally speaking, usually a trait of people when it's depicted people being single.
What is the phone number here?
Right.
I need
757-683-4405.
Because do you know?
Hold on.
757-683-4405.
Will you please call in, single people, and let me know, are you lonely? And are you dying? Are you enjoying your single life?
I was lonely.
But do you not? But you did not have human contact with people?
You know I didn't.
Listen, there are still people who are married and are still lonely. So
get divorced. Yeah.
Will
they dropping the phone.
I'm done with you. Like, I am so done with you.
Well, I would love. So, what, do you agree?
What people? That is not a
Jay,
loneliness.
Single?
Is not necessarily a reason to get a divorce.
I'm a college student though.
Are you lonely?
No.
Okay.
But you're a college student.
I live with my friends.
I live with myself, and I am an ambivert. I like being around people sometimes. Sometimes I want to be by myself. And
is that what I am? What is it called?
Ambivert.
I'm that. Yeah. Okay.
AMBI.
So what is the meaning of that?
Where you're an introvert and extrovert. So you're a little bit of both.
So you're a little bit of both.
Correct. Because I like to be by myself sometimes, but sometimes I do like to be around people. So I know I need human connection.
Okay.
But that has nothing to do with me being single. I have been in some relationships and I felt as though I was by myself because I was doing it. I felt like I was doing life by myself. So my status of who I'm with does not equate to my loneliness. And this article,
I think you're
just
a rare breed.
Talk about relationships.
No, I'm not.
I mean,
well, maybe, but it could be two of y'all.
It's a lot of there's a lot of factors to that, because like to the part of like you feeling like you're lonely and whatnot. Well, some of my friends, they feel like they're in that space, but then some of my friends have their boyfriends and stuff here, and it's like they're with each other all the time. So it's
but you
like
can still
different.
be lonely.
Yeah,
I could be right here with you guys and still be happy within. I feel like I'm alone in this world.
All right. So it's more of like
it's
internal. Okay, it's internal. I got you now.
Right.
Okay.
It's not about having loneliness.
All right, I got it now.
We need to be clear about what the definition of loneliness is.
Right.
Just because I am sitting next to somebody does not mean I'm present in this moment.
Exactly. Okay.
And if I'm not present,
right.
I can still feel alone. Like, oh my God, all y'all have your lives together. It's just me.
It's just me. I'm singled out.
I'm single.
I got it.
They see all my flaws. Nobody likes me. That's loneliness. That's that self-doubt.
And that's deeper, right? And that's way deeper than
That's what depression, suicidal ideation.
What I would suggest y'all do is, since y'all got all the answers, write this nationally public.
And I will.
Public service announcement.
Yes.
If you feel like you're at this point.
I think it's misleading because it says being single will kill you faster than obesity, study says. But when you click on the link, it talks about loneliness. That has nothing to do with being single.
They should have said
because you can be in a relationship and still be lonely. You you cannot be in a relationship and still be lonely. You can be in a room full of people and still be lonely.
So can we not agree that even if you're going to think of maybe feelings associated with being lonely could be, with being single, it could be lonely to some people. It may not apply to you.
No, I didn't say it, but I never said I don't feel lonely sometimes. I do. I'm human. I have every feeling that you guys have. Okay. Today, this moment, I'm not lonely.
But there are some people who seek therapy because they are single and they're lonely.
But
they're depressed because of that.
But I think
not y'all.
No. I think it's a factor of why they're depressed. That is not the only reason why you're depressed. Now, I can say the world, like, I want a man. I want to get married. It's out there. Okay? Come on, Jesus. Come, do your thing.
Yeah.
But I can still be married.
Okay.
Have a husband and still have moments of loneliness.
Yes.
Right.
Loneliness is never going to go away, and just being around people. And that's the misconception about relationships and people getting these bad relationships, getting beat on. At least I have somebody. But internally, you are still lonely and feel bad about yourself.
Yes. I have... And a prime example, when my daughter went away to school, my husband was deployed. I was
single.
Home. I was lonely,
and
but
single.
I was not.
She's not. She's married.
I'm married.
She was in a place by herself.
But your status is still married.
See, but
you're paying too much attention on the word. No. She was alone. She was single.
Right. But
so you were
she was alone.
She
was used to being with her son, with her daughter, or her husband.
So would she still feel lonely? Because I'm getting a little confused now.
But I was lonely.
You was lonely.
They have a hang up with the term
but in
single.
the midst, but in the midst of that, because I think that there's in the midst of that, you either find yourself and you bring yourself out of it, or then you fall deeper into like, okay, I'm so depressed, and then it goes to a whole nother, to me, a whole nother entity. To me, it was like, okay, this is temporary for you. It's just that your daughter's off at school, your husband is deployed. At that particular moment, I was lonely. I cried it out. I said, "Girl, get yourself together. This is temporary. You need to leave the house. You need to go be around people and just get yourself together." But I had a moment, just like Rhea said, like today I could be lonely, but tomorrow or even in the next 10 minutes, I don't feel that way. But I don't think that it needs to be associated with whether I'm married or whether I'm single or any of that, because
to me, that advice is the same as somebody who is single relationship wise. Yours was, you were made single because your husband wasn't there and your daughter left.
But I'm not somebody single. My title is not single.
You see, I'm not talking about title. I'm talking about the state of being.
Okay.
Yes, because you're not getting it. I'm not talking about whether you check married, partnered, or single. I'm talking about Shanika was married. She had a daughter. That was Shanika's being. All of that is away. Shanika's left by herself. She's a single being right now.
Okay.
And in that single being, you fell into depression. I was with you. Come on, be honest. Be open, transparent. Because you were single.
I didn't stay there long, though.
Okay. We're not saying you got to stay there, but you were lonely because you were single.
I was lonely. But it wasn't because I was single.
Thank you. Case dismissed.
It's
That's
not
it.
dismissed.
Wow. Now let me get you. You go ahead and do yours.
You can
I'm listening. Come on.
All right.
I admit it. I've been lonely. I could see you get lonely, but I feel as though the article, you could be lonely around 100 people. I mean,
that's true.
I think all I'm saying is the article is misleading.
They should have changed the title.
We should not. It should have said loneliness. It could be a leading cause of death. It's not your singleness status. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right.
And even with, let's get on you for a minute. Even when you were single, you were
weren't
lonely all the time. Not every single other day.
No.
That's what I'm saying. There were moments
do you think by them saying that they're saying 100%? The majority of the time? Or what do you...
I mean, if it's causing me to die, it has to be a significant amount of time. It has to, if it's taking a toll on me to the point of death, it is more moments of loneliness and depression that it has to be of good times.
Good times, okay.
That's my thing.
I can see
and
that.
even though you had moments of depression, you were lonely, but you weren't that way all the time. Well, I'm not gonna give you that. I'm not gonna say you. Okay, well, we gonna.
Can you attest to that or
Wait,
no?
I didn't quite hear what she said.
I was trying to say that Will was not always, and even though he was single, and yes, he had moments of loneliness, he was not lonely all day, every day.
I think.
Well, I think it was a period of time that I felt like he was
moments.
Right.
There were moments.
Right.
Not forever.
But I think that I think that just like me. I think that in some of those points, he was trying to find himself.
Correct.
He was trying to find himself
Right.
in the midst of, and then loneliness just happened to be more prevalent than some of the other things.
Correct.
And then so
Good.
that was kind of
I like how you put that. Right.
So that was at the forefront.
Correct.
But once he got past that, because I do think that at some point, as they say, that you have to learn to be by yourself. Sometimes
Correct.
you have to
Correct.
be. You have to learn to be alone.
All in one.
Right. Because how can you even still entertain? Because then sometimes in life you're going to be alone. You're
True.
going to find yourself alone. And if you cannot handle yourself being alone, or you can't handle being alone, then I think that you would end up falling into the category of being depressed, but I don't think it's because you're single. It's just because you just haven't found the tools. You have not been given the tools to balance.
That was a whole bunch of reasons. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So
good talk. Good.
That came
Everybody
from my
calm?
spirit. That was in my
Need a
spirit.
drink? We good?
That was in my spirit.
Let me go ahead and introduce Mr. Hart. He'll be calling in soon. Mr. Derek Hart, he began his healing journey in 1990 as he contemplated his own family system. He began giving his knowledge away to others. Through his mother's struggle with addiction and her ultimate suicide, Derek created a life dedicated to helping others with their relationship. Derek states, at the end of life, people don't wish that they had spent more time working hard, earning more money, or collecting more possessions. They wish they risked showing themselves fully to at least one person. Derek's lifelong purpose is to bring emotional intelligence to relationships. He guides couples and individuals out of relationship confusion into connection and clarity. Please help me welcome to the show Mr. Derek Hart. How are you, sir?
Good. How you doing?
Doing great. Great. Just finished up having a very passionate conversation. Glad to have you on the show to talk to us about how we can help help our relationships.
That'd be great.
So I want to thank you for coming on the show. And let's just get right in with some couple questions. So what is the number one problem that you see couples having today?
Couples, they don't know how to listen to each other one person at a time, and hear and understand each other. And what happens is that gets interrupted by the reactivity they have, by getting defensive and then protecting themselves, and then within a second or two criticizing the other partner back. Basically, they have conflicts going on where they're both frustrated about something, and they have no idea how to tell the other person what they're frustrated about and get it heard and land well. And they both have that going on. Does that make sense?
It does.
Absolutely.
So, and almost to clarify that a little bit more is sometimes I know I have the problem with when someone is talking to me or my other half is talking to me, and I'm already forming what I'm going to say too. I'm not even listening to what their concern is.
Right.
I'm already forming what I'm going to say next.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Absolutely. It's very common, isn't it?
Yes.
And by the time they get to me, I would say 95% of couples, it's not that it's too late. It's that they are so deeply steeped in a pattern they've created together, and they don't know how to get out. And that's kind of what I step people through. I step couples through how to listen, and I'm like a temporary trust coach for them. You know, I have them put their trust that I'm listening, and once they both feel validated and I kind of create that rapport with each of them individually, then I gently glue them back together. And I can do it very, very fast. That's probably my top gift. I can bring them back to each other and have them understand each other because they felt so validated by me.
Okay.
Hey, Derek, this is Rhea. How are you?
Good. Hi, Rhea. How are you?
I'm doing good. Okay, so I have a dating question. I am the single one out the group. Derek, I needed you about 5 seconds ago because they were ganging up on her. But I stood my ground, okay?
She did.
Sure.
So, you know, what do you think is the number one issue that women have with dating?
Number one issue. I'll tell you. I have a dating group, and it's only a women allowed. And there's about 57, 58 women in that right now. And I'll tell you, the number one thing that I help women with is this one pattern that they go through over and over and over. And it's getting involved with a man and not recognizing a man that is ready for commitment, not recognizing a man that's able to communicate. And I tell people a lot that you don't really know somebody until you've entered a conflict with them.
Oh, exactly.
I agree.
Exactly.
I need to see him struggle financially. I need to see him struggle and go through some tough time to see how do you manage those problems.
Exactly. So I help these women, and what I often help them with is, first of all, to kind of go direct here, to not take off their clothes so quickly. The quicker women take their clothes off, the quicker they get sexual, the more they become kind of blind, deaf, and dumb. And their brain, and their heart kind of falls in love with somebody, but they're not able to see the patterns of, hey, this man is not going to be available. So I help them predict the future before they get their heart broken. I do that a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is Shanika, Derek. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm
Shanika?
great. Thank you.
Yep.
So you mentioned that the number one problem with couples is that they don't listen. And I've actually been married for 22 years. And I would like to know, how do you teach couples to listen when they are equally frustrated?
That's actually what I do as kind of their trust person. So just imagine, I'm sitting there and I am hearing, let's just say the husband, I take the husband, and the husband starts telling me what's going on with him. And I'm listening and I hear it and I validate it, and I help him to explain the story in a way that really mostly makes it about what he's experiencing. And as he starts blaming his wife, I will gently, kind of glide him back to explaining what's going on. Now, his wife is witnessing me having this open communication with him, and she's actually learning just by watching that I'm kind of pulling it out of him. And moment by moment, I'm watching her reactivity to it, and I'll make eye contact with her and slowly say, "Yeah, that would hurt to hear that, wouldn't it? That would really hurt." And then I come back to him, and I go back and forth very quickly, and they pick up on what's happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how would you? Okay, you said you would go back to the wife, and you would say, wouldn't that hurt to hear that? But how do you soothe her? Because sometimes when your significant other is saying things that are hurtful, you don't want to hear that. But you have to hear that sometimes in order to make things better. So how do you suggest that a person accepts the negative things that their significant other may be saying?
I do what I call separating things into what I call stories. And I make sure I don't use that in any condescending way, like, that's just a story you're making up. But what I explain to them is, is that, and remember, I'm in a deep emotional state with them. I really join what's going on with both of them at the same time. And I explained to them that, you know, when you say something and your partner feels hurt by it, the thing to focus on is not attacking back and immediately explaining why you're hurt. The thing to do is to validate, oh, that hurts. Okay, so if the husband is saying something and the wife hurts about it, at the same time, when I'm going back and forth between them, you know, very quickly, I will help him to understand. You know, I'll say something like, does this make sense that even though that's true, what you're saying, does it make sense to you why that would feel real painful for your wife? Okay. Now, he will often say, yeah, I could really see that. And I would say, but it's true for you. So the story's true. You're really hurting about this. And it hurts her at the same time. And then I would kind of look at them both back and forth, and I would say, that's something you two can bond on. Okay? That is something that you two have in common. This is a dilemma that's been created by you two, and wrapped inside of that dilemma is a huge amount of intimacy that's possible if you learn what's going on with each other.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
That was good.
I do like that.
Yeah.
It almost sounds like I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Hi, Derek. This is Jada. I wanted to know, how does a couple determine whether or not they're right for each other?
Ooh, good question.
Would you like to add if it's in the beginning or if it's later, if they're already in?
How about if they're already in a relationship and they are having like dimensions in whether or not they should keep on going before it gets more serious or not?
Yeah, great question. One of the things I like to talk about is I wrote an article called "How Do You Know When to Break Up with Somebody?"
Wow.
And here's something that's very interesting. So what women don't do, and I'm kind of generalizing, men do different things, but remember I'm running a women's group right now. So what women do is they have a little red flag happen, something that makes them uncomfortable, and then they deny it. And denying it, there's real good reason for that. If a woman looks at the truth of a red flag and could just magically kind of say to herself, "Oh, I don't really like that. I don't think this person's for me." Well, then I'd be out of a job, right? So basically, when a woman detects that something's wrong, it would take tremendous courage for her to actually be truthful, because then she's got to give up the love, possibly, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, then she's got to give up the love. So what I tell women a lot of the time is I teach them how to listen to the red flag, and here's the thing I teach next: vulnerability. So in the group I run, for example, women will send me their text messages, and they'll actually show me what's being communicated back and forth. Here's the thing: I teach a woman how to say what's in her heart, how to say something that's very, very true, and then do nothing. That's the trick. Do nothing, and then I teach them how to stay in silence and observe and watch and wait. And see what comes back next. That's not what women usually do. No. They say something, they don't know they're being a little critical because they're legitimately frustrated. They don't know they've pushed the man away, and then they pressure him for an honest communication to happen. And that is what makes the woman kind of crazy glued to the problem, because then she gets stuck in guilt and blaming herself and gets all confused. I help them unwind that. So, and does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I know a lot of my friends who are married, they did what's called intentional dating. So they said they dated with the purpose, with the idea of getting married. And I've always said, well, gosh, you don't want to scare them away by talking about marriage so soon. So what is your thought about intentional dating, and when do you bring up the marriage conversation?
Yeah. So the interesting thing for a woman to learn is because women kind of are the gatekeepers of intimacy. It's usually going to be not be a man who says, "God, I just want to marry you, and I'm feeling so upset that I can't marry." It just doesn't happen.
Right.
So the woman wants to bring up the conversation about getting married. The trick is, I teach women. Give your man a job. In every communication, if you can give your man a job and make him know that he's competent and qualified for the job, then you have a person that's listening. So let's think about the controlling version of wanting to be married, where you're kind of like, we've been together 4 months, and I think it's time to talk about if this is serious, and let's talk about that tonight when you get home, right? Mm-hmm. Well, the guy's gonna stop by the bar before he gets home, right?
Yeah.
I
got to work late.
Yeah. That's terrifying. But how about if a woman says, we've been dating a while, and I'm really needing your help on something because I'm having all these feelings about a deeper commitment with you, and I know I want that with you, and I'm nervous to bring it up so soon, and I don't want to push you away, and I just want to let you know I'm kind of hanging with these feelings a little bit too much by myself. Is it something that you'd like to discuss? I really need your help to know if it's time. So, man, I'll tell you, when a guy hears I need your help, his little fixer comes in, and he's like, wow, I'm going to help her. I get to win. There's a possibility I could do this conversation, and I could win. That's a completely different approach.
Okay.
So you got to make the man
that's
feel
strategic.
So you have to make the man feel like he's in control and he's needed.
If women knew how simple we were in wanting a true, false, or a multiple choice question that we can actually get right, boy, man, the women would just be giving us jobs all day long. But that's not what happens. The woman builds up frustration, and she says something to the man. He gets defensive, and then they start going round and round and build, a 10-year pattern. And that's what I help interrupt early on. So I can help women detect by the third date if they should no longer continue. And what that does is it prevents women from getting into these 4-month relationships where they actually see a conflict happen that they could have predicted way earlier. It's very predictable because all of us show who we are. We can't hide ourselves. We show who we are constantly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what about those guys who don't really? They take a while to show who they really are. I mean, do you think they don't really take that long, and that a person really shows who they are early on, or do you think it really? I mean, those people who are just really good at what they do, and they just kind of hold on to who they are for a while, and it takes a while before you really see who they are.
Yeah. Think about a woman in that position, and we are assuming that the woman wants more intimacy, which is a generalization, but it is also very true generalization. So imagine a woman sitting there with a guy. Now remember, what I want her to do is validate herself for what she's feeling, and if she's feeling exactly what you're saying, I want her to say, we've been dating a couple months, and I'm feeling like we could be deeper together, and I'm feeling kind of a holding back from you, and I want to know if that's true for you, because I'm feeling like opening up more and that it's safe to do so, but I don't know. Do you want to do that? And then all of a sudden the guy's like, oh, God, yeah. But you know what happens most of the time is not that. What happens most of the time is she gives some very subtle criticism, and he feels put down basically for not relating like women do.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What women really want to learn is how men are different, and they operate from a completely different place. That's a lot of what I teach in my courses. Like, for them to know that, then gives them kind of the key to know how to ask the right questions and give the right jobs. But as soon as a woman criticizes a man, that happens 3 or 4 times, they build a pattern that, I'll tell you, it takes, sometimes couples come to me after 20 years, and they've been fighting for 18.
Oh.
So, yeah, it's very common.
Okay. Eric, is there a predictable pattern that couples fall into when they argue?
Yeah. One person begins a conversation, and it's unclear what they're saying, and the other person feels criticized and doesn't know what to do to feel better. So they then make the first person's story wrong, and inside of sometimes 3 to 5 seconds, they enter that pattern, and they are not listening to each other. Then they go on to have a half-hour conversation where they're fighting about the fact that they have problems together. I don't teach couples how to solve specific problems. I teach them how to solve problems.
Okay.
Got it.
And that's what they don't know how to do. Solve a problem.
And I have a quick question. This is for, I was reading online about a married couple. The guy was upset because he felt as though he didn't have to be real transparent with his work schedule. He didn't have to tell his wife that, hey, I'm going to have coffee with this woman from work, or hey, I'm going here with this woman after work. Do you feel as though, how transparent do couples need to be with one another as far as their daily routine and schedules?
Yeah, it's very interesting. So if I come at that from a little bit of a different angle, it's not like a percentage of transparency. So let's take the man who is going to go out to lunch twice a week with a coworker, a woman. Okay, that could be entirely okay. And yes, it is important what he would communicate to his partner about that. But here's the truth. The man knows what's going on. The man knows if he's getting his emotional needs met because he's begun a pattern of miscommunication with his wife, with his partner. And if that starts, I'll tell you, it might be in the subconscious still, but his wife also knows something's going on. Okay? So once again, they would come to me having absolutely no idea how to solve such a dilemma. And I would start with, the woman saying what's bothering her, not criticizing him, and starting with, I need your help. I'm concerned that you're getting emotional needs met elsewhere, and I don't need to micromanage your life, but I know you have lunches with other women and other friends, but I'll tell you, I remember once when I was your best friend. Do you want to rebuild that with me? You say that to a man, his answer, unless he's really getting resentful, his answer will be yeah. But that's not how they approach each other. That's why when I teach vulnerability to couples, they can learn it in 2 sessions, in 3 sessions, because it never occurred to them. That's the key way to start talking again.
So it sounds like to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that it's more so that in situations when things begin to become maybe a little unpredictable or a little out of the norm, maybe, that you're just trying to find where the responsibility lies, and who I guess having the right tools for a person to take responsibility for what's really going on, and allowing them to take responsibility and then figure out a way to fix it. Yeah. Let me kind of say that all in a different way, because you're right on track there. So I want one partner to be able to say ouch, and then the other partner has an immediate response, well, I don't like that you have that ouch. And then I want the partner to be able to interrupt that pattern that's already started and say, ouch, this hurts. I know it might
offend you that it hurts, but it hurts in this way. Will you listen to me talk about that? And then I want the other partner to say, oh, wow, even though I'm really upset that you think that about us or me, I'm going to listen until you feel a little bit calmer about why that hurts.
Okay.
That's the
That
entire solution.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Totally understand.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
great.
So, Derek, how can people follow you?
They can go to understandeachother.com.
Okay.
And they can see the women's course on the first page. They can click couples and see a little bit about couples. They can join the women's group, and it's 7 days free, and it's like $1.23 a day. It's ridiculous low price. And every week I do a video call where, I have 10 women on screen, and we all are on video, and we all do a group conversation about this exact thing. And it's very exciting. It's a pretty amazing group. I also have a show that's beginning called Let's Talk Relationships. So if you look that up, Let's Talk Relationships with Derek Hart, in iTunes or any podcast app, you'll find it. And there's about 4 or 5 episodes, and that's getting rolling.
Awesome.
And that's live callers. I actually take live callers, and we do 7 to 10 minutes of discussion on what's going on in people's relationships. I take couples on the calls too sometimes.
Okay. What is there a particular night it comes on? You do it?
It's on bbsradio.com.
Okay.
And it's Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time in the U.S.
Okay.
But that might be movable. That might change around. But that's the actual live time. Okay. But just subscribing to the podcast anywhere is kind of the easiest way.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate the information.
Thank you.
It was a lot of fun. I loved it. All you guys is like a panel. I didn't know that.
Yes.
That's really great. So appreciate it, and let's do it again. That'd be fun.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, you guys. Take care, you guys.
All right. You're listening to Let's Face It. We're going to take a quick break and come back and talk about Tamar Braxton and what she would do for her man. So you're listening to Let's Face It. We'll be right back.
You've been listening to Let's Face It with Will Strayhorn and Friends. We'll be right back.
Everyone is talking about healthcare these days. America spends twice that of other developed countries on our healthcare system, yet our health ranks near the bottom. How can we stop spending so much and getting so little? Shifting to a system based on primary care can help fix the problem. Patients with a primary care doctor live longer, healthier lives, and are less likely to suffer from cancer, heart disease, or stroke. Primary care that is comprehensive and coordinated also saves money. Patients who have a primary care doctor spend 30% less on health care than patients who don't. States with a high number of primary care doctors have lower health care costs and higher quality care. Primary care can help make America healthy again. To learn more about the benefits of primary care, visit www.healthisprimary.org. This message is brought to you by America's Family Physicians.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard, so you don't need to mooch off your friends.
You gonna finish that grape?
You mean the one in my mouth?
You don't need to stop buying the necessities.
What you're smelling is a natural musk.
Ew.
You don't need to be a medical test subject.
How do you feel?
Mostly okay. Sometimes, though.
You don't need to get a second job as a stuntman.
We need a new stuntman. Let's break for lunch.
You just need an internet connection. Don't get left behind. Start your personal savings plan with the tips and tools on feedthepig.org. That way, you don't need to sell your soul to the devil.
$15 is the best I can do.
All right, deal.
Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Hey everybody, Rachel Ray here. Nothing puts a bigger smile on my face than cooking up a big meal for family and friends. But there's not enough room at my table for the 17 million kids in America who are struggling with hunger. These children, that's 1 out of every 5, often have to skip meals because there's just nothing to eat in the kitchen. Yet there's more than enough healthy, nutritious food produced right here in America to feed every last hungry child. If only there was a way to get it to them. That's why the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks collects surplus food to give hope to hungry kids and their families all across our country. But they can't do it without your help. Join me in supporting Feeding America at your local food bank and at feedingamerica.org. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're Feeding America.
A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
You're now listening to Let's Face It with Will Strayhorn and Friends. Now back to the show.
Welcome back. I'm enjoying the show.
You
guys are great. You guys are great. Thank you so much. Tamar Braxton. So did you see the picture that everybody was posting? She shaved her head.
Yes.
Okay, so we found out why she did it. She said she wore wigs because Vince liked blondes with fair skin.
I saw this. Was this on the Steve Harvey show?
As a matter of fact, it was.
Yeah.
So she, it said during the episode of the Steve Harvey show,
like a panel of women.
Braxton revealed that she wore wigs to appease Vince Herbert because he likes women with fair skin and blonde hair.
Yep.
She said, "I believe in being attractive for your mate." She said, "I used to have all blonde wigs. I have about 150,000 of them at my house since I shaved my hair off. They're all on sale now, by the way." She said, "Vince likes blonde hair, light-haired women. For me, I just think that there's a responsibility that women have to stay current for your man." Okay. She said now that she and Vince are reportedly separated, she's decided to play by her own rules when it comes to her hair and style. So hence she cut her hair. So I want to know, if your mate asked you to alter your look or change something about yourself, what would be your response? Anybody? All three.
I think it depends. I think for me it depends on what it is. But I've never had that situation happen to me. I've never had my husband being with my husband. Like he's never. Okay, let me take that back. Just recently, I cut my hair down really, really close, and I
almost like Tamar's.
Yes, and I actually did not FaceTime him for a couple of days because I didn't really know how he was going to feel about it. So when he saw it, he was like, "Did you cut your hair?" And I was like, "Yes." And I was like, "Well, do you like it?" He was like, "Well, it's cute, but I like it the other way." And I was like, "What do you mean the other way?" He was like, like when it's straight and it's, it's. So I knew that he didn't, like he wasn't upset about it, but I knew his preference was to have it long or a little bit longer because it's always been short, but just a little bit longer than it was, and I know for me, I'm more comfortable with it being relaxed. I've tried natural. It's not something that I want to stay with all the time. I can do it for a short while, but I like my hair straight, and I like it straightened, and I like it short. So I can't say that. But outside of that, it's never been like I nothing else.
What about you, Ray?
I've never been in a situation before.
What would you do?
I don't know. I mean, I'll just let me say this. I believe that wait, let me get my words together. I'm not changing who I am for a man. Let me just say that.
Now, is asking you to change who you are?
I had a however. Okay. I had a semicolon
there.
Ahead. Wait,
semicolon.
That wasn't a period. I was about to transition to something else. Okay. So just hold on. Right. Okay. I don't believe in changing who I am for a man. Semicolon, however, comma.
There we go.
Ooh, that's a lot. Go ahead.
If we're going out or something, and I might put an outfit on that he likes, I know, just kind of spice things up a little bit, I would do something like that because I want to keep him interested in me. But as far as altering my physical appearance, like getting surgery and stuff, I wouldn't go that far. But if I put a cute little dress on that he purchased because I know he likes it, I would do something like that. Or if I know he likes a certain updo, I'll do something like that. But I couldn't alter my physical appearance for him.
Okay.
That's exactly how I feel. 100%. I'm all the way with you.
Yeah, I could throw a wig on, but that wig would not be worn every day.
It's not going to be worn every day. I'm not going to sit here and cut all my hair off just because you want me to, or sit here and do something different to my hair. If I like my hair the way I like my hair. If you don't like my hair, then bye.
And I think he would do interesting things for me. Like if I would like a certain outfit, he would do the same for me. I would like hopefully like, you know, we appease each other.
Are drastic changes.
Right. But I would like, I mean, I might get a sew-in, like have like long hair. If he like, you know, my husband's deployed, he comes back, I know he likes a certain style. He hasn't seen me in a while. I'll do something fun like that. Let me get some long weave. But originally, I'm still staying true to who I am.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think I think that goes both ways, because that's exactly what I was going to say. Would he be willing to alter something about himself if I didn't like it? Because I think that
it goes both ways.
because if you're asking me to, I like, if my size or whatever was a problem for him, and it's like, okay, so you never plan to, I expect for you to look this way all the time. So you never plan to gain any weight at all, because the moment that you get past a certain way, I want you to lose it. So I think that it goes both ways.
Would it have something? Would it be a different effect in how they present it? So let's say if it was a weight issue or something like that, because I struggle with weight, my issue with it. But so if the person came to you and said, baby, I love you a lot, but because of maybe disease, maybe diabetes or whatever, they're concerned about your health. It's not like a shallow reason, but they're actually concerned about that. Would you take that in consideration?
I would. I think it depends on approach, on how you approach it about it. But if you're doing it for health reasons,
and if you're doing it with me, and it's not because you're putting me down, or if you're telling me that I need to do this, but you're still buying Twinkies, like no, because you're not helping the cause.
Correct.
You're underlying being nasty for real.
Okay. and don't tell me because I like this woman, my woman look a certain way. Just say, hey, baby, I'm concerned. I mean, I think people are willing to change. It's about how are you approaching it.
So I need some free counseling.
Okay.
Hopefully it's just us and someone's not listening. But so is it wrong to, how you see somebody, you be like, okay, well I can deal with that because I can change that. How can I say it safely? Okay, I'll get this. I'm just going to say it.
Okay.
Hopefully when I get home, everything's going to be all right. I love my boo, but they told me that, I care too much about image, where image is too important to me. But, I go to events, I go to red carpet events, and I like to present well. So is it wrong for me to want to pick clothes out for them, want to do shopping, want me to try to tweak their style? Is that wrong?
No, because you know what? It's funny that you actually say that. I personally don't think that it's wrong, because some events require certain things and certain things, because and the funny thing is that just happened to me.
Okay.
My husband, we had an event at the Admiral's house, not just the 4-star Admiral. Okay.
Don't tell me he came in with some ripped jeans.
So I said, honey, what is the attire? And he said, it's casual. I said, at the 4-star. Okay, because let me explain to you, the 4-star Admiral is the Admiral that's on TV.
Yeah.
Okay, with the president. Okay.
Okay.
So I said, what's the attire? Now he has on some slacks, collared shirt.
You talking about what 45? The president?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
He probably was casual then with the jeans. I mean, just joking. Yeah. Wait a minute. For all images and branding purposes, I'm just joking. Let's move
forward. Yeah.
Right.
So I get dressed and I have on some kind of like leggings, some boots, and like this kind of shawl thing that's kind of big, but it could have passed for a dress just with some leggings on. So we go and we pick up my husband's boss and his boss. And she has on some dress pants, and I told my husband, I said, I feel like I'm underdressed. And he was like, honey, don't worry about it. It's okay. Don't worry about it. So we get in, and then I was like, okay, like I don't want everybody to stare at me, because I still feel I just still feel like, okay, we're at the 4-star Admiral's house, whatever. But once we got in, it was casual. It was casual, but still in my mind, I'm like, okay, I should still be a little more dressed up because of the position that my husband holds.
Right.
So I do not think that it's something wrong, because like I said, I do think that some events calls for certain things, and you have to have those things in your wardrobe to be worn to those events, because you can't, like my mother says, everything is not a jean and t-shirt affair.
Right.
So I do think that you have to have clothes, and because of the position that my husband is in, I do have to have clothes, because sometimes I have to be with him. So I have to have clothes that are going to represent who he is and what the event represents. So, and sometimes people, that's not what their lifestyle is, but you have to.
Exactly.
You have to.
It's a certain way you have to finesse it. I know
right,
that, yeah.
Right. Because even with my even with my husband, sometimes if we're going out, he'll ask me, "Is this okay? Is this okay what I have on?" And then I may say, "Well, no, I like that shirt with with these jeans. Can you wear that shirt with these jeans? I just like it better." And he's like, "Okay, that's fine. You know, I'll wear that." But I don't, and I buy a lot of his clothes still. Because he's not into buying clothes, and it's not really his thing. And he would buy the same shirt just in a different color.
Yeah.
And I like different, so I didn't even take up.
Because I feel like I'm crossing the line, but I just want things to.
It's just all about approach. Just how you approach it.
It's how I approach
That's
it.
it.
Yeah.
I don't think people don't mind just saying, "Hey, this is the kind of event that you need to, it's a more dressier event," and just it's all about, I think it's about approach. I really do. And
sorry, not to cut you off, Ray. I also think that when you are going to events, if you're representing your brand, you are your brand. Right. So your brand is being represented in a certain facet, if you will. So you have to, and the funny thing is when you do show up with a date, people are already expecting how you're going to look.
Exactly.
So sometimes the focus is not even about you; it's the person that's on your shoulder.
Especially when you're linked together like that. Yeah.
Right.
You're supposed to compliment.
So then if it's an article that's been done about you, and then let's just say it's an event that's a fashion. It's going to be, this is what Will Strayhorn was wearing. And the person that he was with was wearing.
Exactly.
So I don't think you should feel bad.
Okay. We're good. We'll see when I get home. We'll see.
Good luck.
Anybody have anything else to talk about? Anything else?
I just do want to shout out the Generation Z who did the march this weekend.
Yeah.
I have hope again.
You do?
I do.
Okay.
And even though people are like, they're not old enough to vote, blah, 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 but there will be a day. There will be a day when they can run for office, when they can vote. It's unfortunate as adults, we see them as a threat. Some of them see them as a threat, and they have photoshopped some pictures of them, like one ripping up the Constitution and different things like that. So once again, I feel like nothing is sacred. Children are not sacred. And even though you see these 11-year-olds, 17-year-olds as a threat, so you photoshopping things. But I am rallying behind them. I'm cheering them on. And, the things are coming.
Welcome to the revolution.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm excited to see what's going to
I
happen.
am too. Definitely.
So, did you have anything to say?
No.
Did you guys get a chance to look over Gabrielle Union's book?
I breezed through the
I'm reading it right
that
now.
you posted.
Are you?
I'm reading it right now.
Is it good?
It's amazing.
Okay.
I need to get it.
So this is some things, some of my takeaways I got. She had a chapter called Big Bank Takes Little Bank. And she was saying that some of her woes, if you will, of being married to a rich athlete, Dwayne Wade. She was saying that, she's had a lot of success in Hollywood. And she's used to, I guess, with the people that she's dated, being the breadwinner in her past relationships. But she says, while not having to pay for everything may be a blessing, her lifestyle and choices instantly changed when she married Dwayne Wade. She said, it's a simple rule dictating that whoever has more money wins. Whatever your income bracket, whoever has the power of the bigger purse in the relationship usually has the final decision, she writes. She goes on to discuss compromising financial changes and the lowballed prenup she was given. All factors in her marriage. I didn't like that part.
The lowball prenup?
The lowball prenup she was given and evidently signed.
You don't know because she might negotiate it. She could have went back and say, I don't want.
She didn't say offer. She said it was given.
You can give me something that could still have the right to decline it. So I read that statement too. So I wonder if she signed. I just wonder if she signed it.
Yeah, I don't think she even shared that. If she signed it,
I think she signed it.
You did?
You think she did?
I think she signed it.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if she signed it.
She's been through a lot.
She's older.
She's
that was the issue for her.
Yeah. I think she signed it. I think she signed it.
She might have.
She also said expanding your horizon. She said as a child, her mother used to take her to open houses, to see houses. I guess, outside of the neighborhoods. I used to do that too. She said not because we were looking to move or could afford to live in those houses, but simply to see how other people live and to expand her horizon. She said your world is only as small as you make it.
I agree.
Her mother indirectly instilled in her the life's possibilities are endless, and emphasized that stepping out of your comfort zone and expanding your horizon was key to a successful life.
I agree. I think exposure in general is key, and I think one of the great things that my parents did for me was travel. And even though sometimes we went to Disney World, sometimes we just travel to see family members, and my families all have different economic stances, and I was exposed to this is life is like for people, and because of that, some of it made me work harder because I want to achieve different things and that, and another one was like, wow, this is how y'all live. Well, I need to work real hard to get up here. So yeah, I think exposure is key.
Yes, I actually agree with that because it's funny. It's so minute, but it's funny because I just made Asia. She wanted to come home last weekend, and I made her catch the Greyhound.
Really?
Oh,
yes.
God.
So we talked about it, and I said, well, what did you think? And she was like, Mom. And I was like, but at least if you had to catch the Greyhound, you know how.
You know
Absolutely.
how to, right.
So it's not about, and you have to understand, I was like, everybody is not afforded the luxury of just getting on a plane.
Right.
People have to work with what they have, and everybody doesn't have plane money.
Yeah.
Some people have Greyhound money.
Yeah.
You had Greyhound money.
Yeah.
So that's
how you got home.
That's
right.
how you get home.
Okay, so we're going to go into my favorite part, intimate expressions. Here's my test question for you guys. I've been reading a lot of articles, and I get a blog, and they were just always talking about famous people and what their superpower is. So I wanted to ask you, what is your superpower? I'll start mine. Is resilience.
You took the word right out my mouth.
Really?
That was my word, resiliency. Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe your reason's different because I've been through and out a lot of situations. Some I've shared, some I haven't shared yet, and I'm still standing. So I realize that's my ultimate strength. Anything God takes me through, He gives me the power, even though I may not feel it.
Absolutely.
In retrospect, looking back, I'm so much stronger because of it. I'm resilient.
Absolutely. I agree 110%. That was the first word that came to my mind.
Really?
My mind. Absolutely.
Okay.
Just because of disappointments and setbacks and different things, and I have continued to get back up and get in the fight. There are sometimes I handle the test a little bit better than others. Sometimes I had temper tantrums, cried, I said, "Why me, Lord?" But hindsight's 2020, and looking back, I couldn't change anything in the world.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What about you? What's your superpower? You don't know what your superpower is.
When you said that, I don't really know. I think that, I don't know. I just keep pushing, and I'm just hoping that
perseverance.
Yeah,
right.
Perseverance is a superpower.
Right. I guess so. Perhaps that's it.
What's yours?
So, I think that my superhero power is bringing people together and compromising, because everybody has an issue, and I'm the first person that they go to, and I'll be able to give them an answer once I hear the situation. So I guess
sounds like a gift too.
That's my power for right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Wonderful.
Solving people's problems.
Well, thank you, ladies. Thank you for a wonderful show.
This
I love
is
the
great.
energy. We connected real well. So thank you so much. Make sure you tune in next week. We have a good show. I don't know who's coming on, but we have a good show. Join us here, same time, same place, 7 o'clock next Wednesday. Until then, make sure you be blessed.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Let's Face It with Will Strayhorn and Friends. Please be sure to visit us on the web at letsfaceitradio.com and at Let's Face It Radio on Facebook for the latest in show information and exciting, innovating ways that you can be a part of the show. So tune in next week, same place, same time, for real people, real topics, real talk. Let's face it.
I know that something's wrong.
Just got that look in your eye, what's happening? You tell me that you're scared of falling in love. Well, baby, you and me both. So let's ride out it. Listening to Trey songs, moving to the backseat, smoking up the window panes as we look over the city lights. Girl, I never felt so right. Just promise that you try not to forget about me. So as the nights go down, don't have to end heavy, baby, try not to forget about me. But if the nights slow down, it's hard to be ready, so just try not to forget about me. So just try not to forget about me. But if the nights slow down, try not to forget about me. As the rain starts falling, we lay sheltered. Whoa.